The barge, the Bibby Stockholm, has arrived in Dorset, where it will house 500 adult male asylum seekers.
It travelled overnight and is part of the government's plan to cut costs associated with housing migrants, with 51,000 of them in hotel accommodation, costing the government around £6 million a day.
So this comes after the government was defeated last night amid attempts to make changes to the small boats bill. The legislation is now set to become law.
Well, let's speak to the Reform UK advisor, Ben Habib. Good morning to you, friend of the programme. What do you make of the Bibby Stockholm? Do you think it's going to be the start of sort of a new solution to this crisis?
Well, it's hard to imagine that it's going to be a solution. You know, as you mentioned, Isabel, there are 51,000 people either being housed in hotels or other accommodation in the UK at the moment. And that barge, I think, accommodates a maximum of around 500 people. So you would need, what is that? That's 1,000 of those barges dotted around the English coast for it to work. And that's without taking into account all the new people who are coming in each day. So I don't think that is going to be the solution. Optically, it obviously looks better than putting illegal migrants up in hotels in Pimlico, for example. But you know, the government's also been quite shy on how much this barge costs. So we're not even certain that we're going to have any change out of the $6 million a day that's being spent at the moment. So the answer, I think, is you've got to suck it in and see, you know, how this develops. But I find it quite difficult to imagine that this will be the solution.
Yeah, I'm very interested to find out, Ben, how it's going to work. I mean, you just can't keep it moored permanently off the coast of Portland. Is there a ferry service running between the barge and the mainland? Do the asylum seekers, are they allowed out every day? Are they not? Whatever. What effect will they have on the local community, for instance?
Well, I think that's a really big question, Eamon. You know, what effect is this going to have on these rural communities that are small in number when you get 500 people of whom we know nothing? You know, these people arrive without papers. We don't know whether they're sympathetic to the United Kingdom, whether they're antipathetic to our values, what their intentions are, whether they're criminals or genuine refugees, being put into these small communities. And there will no doubt be, you know, lots of reportings of criminal activity going forward. Whatever, you know, whatever warm welcome some in our communities may wish to give them, there will be criminal elements. And that is bound to cause ruptions between, as I mentioned, you know, these rural communities and people coming in. And it's almost dystopian, isn't it, if you think about it, taking these people and just plonking them down in parts of the country. It's not just barges, you know, some of them are going to be housed at RAF bases that have hitherto been vacant. And as you say, will they be policed? Will they be restricted from coming out? Or will they be allowed to mix in the local communities as if they're free to roam around? And you know, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I can't imagine this is going to be anything other than adding fuel to the fire of how awful this, you know, illegal migration across the Channel looks.